I fucking love My Hero Academia. It's probably my favorite shonen anime ever. I've loved tons of different shonen anime, and I haven't seen all of them. I definitely fell out of favor with shonen for a while. But just out of everything I've seen, I don't think there's one that's better. I mean, this is an anime that made me tear up in episode 2. Fucking insane. It has fantastic characterization, amazing, pointed, heated, emotional moments, and fantastic action sequences. It's a fucking incredible show. Bones did an amazing job, and the source material is one of the best shonen stories I've seen in a long time. But the reason I want to talk about My Hero Academia today is something it does really well that so many other shonen shows fuck up because they get dragged out forever, and that is brevity. My Hero Academia in the manga and in the anime both never milk their action scenes for more than they're worth. And this is such a fucking good thing. Everybody knows that Dragon Ball Z has reached meme status because of its retardedly long, drawn-out fights that go on for episodes and episodes and episodes. Everybody knows the joke of Frieza's going to blow up the planet in 5 minutes, and it's like 30 episodes later, and it's still happening. It's stupid. It's dumb. But we don't really ever talk about why it's dumb, other than the fact that it's clearly wasting our time. The reason that I hate long drawn-out action scenes and stuff like Dragon Ball Z and other shonen anime that gets adapted from manga and has to kind of milk everything so it doesn't go ahead of the manga it's adapting is because you lose your emotional stake. Right? There's two things going on in a fight in a good story, and especially in a good shonen manga. You have the tangible stakes, which is what the main characters, or in, big climactic battles, what the world in general or the society in general has to lose from the main characters failing. Those are the tangible stakes. But there's also the emotional stakes. Any good fight scene has emotional undertone. There's a reason the character wants to win. More than just, I need to save the world. If there's some sort of personal underpinnings that can get us invested, that's more effective than the world ending. Because the world ending, or the city being destroyed, or something really big, while that has a lot of concrete, tangible, negative ramifications that we can understand on a logical level, it's so big, it's so ridiculous, it's so over the top, that we have a hard time really parsing it emotionally. It becomes so big, it just becomes numbers to us. It's the same way as when you hear, there's a tragedy and, 200,000 people died or something ridiculous like that. You learn about, how many people died in, World War II or whatever. The numbers are so unquantifiable by our primitive meat brains that it just becomes a statistic. We just become numb to it. But when there's one person, two people, a very small level conflict, we can resonate with that emotionally. It impacts us more. And that's why the best action sequences, the best fight scenes, the best stakes in media don't just have tangible stakes, they also have emotional ones. So if the main character is going to die, that's much more impactful and emotionally resonating to us than the fact that the entire world could die with him. We don't want him to win so the world can be saved. We want him to win so he can be saved. If he needs revenge against someone who wronged him and killed his lover or something, we want that revenge for him, not for the rest of the world. The problem when you expand these fight sequences for so long that we begin to lose the emotional stakes because it stops being potent. And this is something that happens really easily in Dragon Ball Z. Let's go back to the example I just cited. Does anyone really remember why the fight elevated to where it did with Goku and Frieza? The reason was because Frieza killed Krillin. Again. And that's why Goku goes Super Saiyan for the first time. He's angry that his friend has been murdered right in front of him. The reason Vegeta wanted to fight him was because he destroyed his planet and he killed his father. There was emotional stakes in there, but the fights with both of those characters went on for so long that by the end of them you forget why they're even fighting in the first place. They're just punching. You lose the sense of emotional investment when a conflict is dragged out for so long. You just become numb to it. It's just okay, they're recycling the same 3 punching animations over and over again, and now they're throwing energy beams at each other. And that's what a lot of the Dragon Ball Z anime fights boiled down to. You had that initial emotional impact that happened. Fuck. Vegeta, this cold-blooded killer guy, is getting emotional because his father was killed. Or Goku is losing his shit because his best friend died. Or Piccolo is gonna fight Frieza because his people are dying all around him and his planet's getting fucking destroyed in the crossfire here. So there's emotional stakes there. But then these fights go on for so long that you just forget. You become so far removed from that inciting action that set up those emotional stakes that they lose their potency. And it's like, yeah, that happened so long ago, they don't even really care anymore. That's the problem. And that's where My Hero Academia fucking excels, because none of these fights ever last so long as you lose the emotional stakes. They only last usually anywhere from a couple minutes to no more than 2 episodes, or a couple chapters of the manga if you're reading the manga. It's never long enough for the stakes, both tangible and emotional, to ever become forgotten amongst a flurry of punches. A great example is the All Might versus Nomu fight. The tangible stakes are very clear. The entire class of 1A is in jeopardy here, and so is All Might. All Might is very weak. He's losing his ability to transform and use his powers, which has been a conflict that's been established the entire time. So we already know this is like emotional stakes in the beginning, because he has a very real chance of being killed in a fight like this when he's fighting an enemy designed to combat him at his best, because no one but Deku knows that he's losing his powers because he gave them to him. So there's that emotional stake right off the bat, but we also have the other emotional stake and tangible stakes of shit. Our main characters could all be wiped out here. The villains got the jump on them. They're in a bad place. This fucking sucks. So you have emotional stakes, you have tangible stakes. You also have the inner character emotional stakes of All Might himself, of wanting to be able to still be the symbol of peace. This is what he's dedicated his entire life to. And he's getting older and he's getting weaker and his powers are slipping away. He's no longer able to do the thing he's wanted to do all of his life. And here he has to make this final stand and try and once again rise to the occasion that is becoming increasingly more difficult for him. So you want him to succeed because you want him to continue to do the thing that has defined him his entire life. You have these emotional stakes. You have these tangible stakes of all the characters dying and the villains winning. The stage is set for a fucking awesome conflict. And if this was Dragon Ball Z, 20 episodes later, Nomu and All Might would be punching, even though All Might said, I only have a minute left in this form, and we'd all be like, what the fuck? I don't even remember why this is going on anymore. They've been fighting for so long. But no, this scene lasts 6 fucking minutes, and your dick is in orbit the entire time because it's so fucking good. It capitalizes on the emotional stakes, it capitalizes on the tangible stakes, and gives you 6 high-octane minutes of an incredibly animated, emotionally potent conflict that establishes the stakes, gives you some tension, and then resolves it in a pleasing manner. That final punch, that plus ultra moment, is so much more fucking hype than anything in Dragon Ball Z, because it happens while you're in the middle of being excited for those emotional stakes. It's still fresh in your mind, so when the conflict comes to a conclusion, you haven't forgotten about why the conflict was happening in the first place. This is the exact same thing that happens with the Deku versus Todoroki fight. It's another quick fight that only lasts 1 episode, but you know why the stakes are happening. You have Todoroki's entire character growth happening in this fight, and you don't forget about it. It all happens and is given just enough time to be epic and impactful, but you never lose sight of the emotional stakes that make it all juicy to begin with. If you haven't watched My Hero Academia, I've just spoiled a bunch of it for you, but you fucking need to. It's beautifully well done. It's so fucking good. And the fact that it has all the good parts of a shonen series, the really good action, the incredibly diverse and interesting cast of characters and powers, but doesn't get bogged down in the plotting bullshit of making these big high stakes fights for no reason, makes it one of the best fucking anime of its genre I have ever seen. That's all I got for this one. Take it easy, guys.